everyone. Welcome to Spice Talk. Today's topic is data privacy. I have the pleasure of speaking with Neera Mathur. She's the chief architect in IBM's Global Chief Data Office. Neera, welcome to Spice Talk.
Thank you, Helen. It's such a pleasure to come here and talk to you about this topic I'm passionate about.
Yeah, likewise. So before we dive into data privacy, tell us more about your story. What do you really do at IBM and how you got into data privacy?
Thanks, Helen. Actually, Helen, my journey started back in the early 80s when I actually joined IBM as a software engineer. I started developing solutions for IBM for education and entertainment, and it was really fun to develop those products and then get out there and watch users, children, teachers, game folks, everyone watching them use the software. It became really interesting for me to see everybody's point of view. So I got a breadth of a lot of different point of views as I did that. And then in the early 2000s, I actually transferred over into doing architecture and design for IBM's global transformation projects. And so I got a good, deep knowledge and experience with IBM and its operations and just how large enterprises work, how data is managed, how we govern data, and just really started to hone in into everything I started doing was revolving around data. So when in the 2018 timeframe, when GDPR came into effect, I got an opportunity and I was given an opportunity to just come in and use my experience to help IBM show its compliance to GDPR. And it was a very complex problem because it was, GDPR set the era for regulations that we've never had before. And so that offered me what I call as an opportunity, even though to most folks it looked like a problem at that time. It offered me an opportunity to show my experience and solve really complex problems and build solutions for IBM. So what I'm doing now is I am building IBM's end-to-end compliance framework that helps our privacy office, our business leaders across the company, our business units, our users, our data subjects, all of those users. And we are showing IBM's compliance and how we are doing it with a company that's as large, global in nature, and as complex as IBM is, with the number of different industries and silos that we support and the units that we have. It was diversity at its best to go solve the complex problem. That's what I'm doing today. Project managers, engineers, architects that work with me in putting these solutions together.
Wow, I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing today. Back in the days when I was a solution architect at Oracle, there are not that many women, right, to begin with. I'm glad to see more of us in the field doing what we do today. So what a pleasure of having you. Imagine, right, for a moment, your social security number and driver's license number are stolen. It's not by your own mistakes. You didn't really leave your purse in an unlocked car or drop your wallet at a store. So the thievery happened under someone else's watch, and really to that, the breach happened within a company you once worked for or currently patronize. You are not alone in feeling violated. More than 5 million people were affected in this one incident. So data privacy becomes a big topic on everyone's mind today. Have you ever had your own information compromised?
Yeah, actually I have. Some years back, if you'll remember, there was a breach with the Experian data.
Yeah.
And my own social security number was sacrificed. And I'm telling you, it did not feel good. It did not feel good that I could not trust a company the size of Experian to manage my data properly and to give me the faith that I could provide such sensitive information and that they could not secure it properly. So it did not feel good. But yes, I was impacted myself.
Yeah, the impact is, however, much bigger than we think, right? Think about it is in the recent coverage on the topic, CRN magazine actually talked about more than 98.2 million individuals were impacted by the 10 biggest data breaches in the first half of 2021, right? And then with these, right, 3 companies out of these 10 biggest breaches occurring at technology companies, this insight actually demonstrates the precarious intersection of digital transformation and the data privacy. So on the flip side, the penalty for data breach can be hefty too, right? We heard about some companies was fined more than $800 million out there, right? That I believe that number rising in the future for companies unprepared or unconcerned about data privacy. So there's no secret that a pandemic has accelerated our use of technology in the workforce or in everyday life. Do you think the companies are better prepared or are even prepared for this rapid acceleration in terms of data privacy?
I believe so. I believe that the pandemic has really helped us accelerate, and these regulations coming out, the pandemic hitting us, a lot of focus on data privacy, and it's kind of hard to quantify in how many years we've accelerated. But I do believe that we've accelerated decades worth of innovation in a matter of a couple of years. I do believe that that's how intense it has. And then I also believe that we're set to increase as businesses continue to adapt in these new ways of working and serving our clients' needs. I think we're going to continue to keep innovating at a faster pace than ever. So that's one of the silver linings, I believe, post the pandemic.
Okay, I'm glad to see your vote of confidence in that, right? We definitely see this delicate balance between convenience and protecting data privacy all around us. For example, in the field of healthcare today, how do you anonymize sensitive information about patients while enabling data to be used to optimize patient care? Or in the banking industry, how do you really protect personal information while creating a seamless customer experience? So what is the greatest opportunity when it comes to data privacy today, in your opinion? And if companies really do it well, can data privacy become a differentiator for a brand or a perk for even attracting talent?
Oh, I believe so, absolutely. Data privacy has really presented organizations with such a great opportunity to grow their product set, to showcase all this technology. I think we're years ahead. Some of the technology is years ahead of its actual adoption in products. So I think here's our time, and this is an example of all of this is all the work that we at IBM are doing to protect individuals' personal data in more, on all of our compliance activities, the opportunity to use our AI technologies to showcase how we can scale our services and to really develop compliance programs, data protection programs, and a lot of work that we did with the COVID vaccination and information, sharing information. And I do believe that all of these effects are attracting top technical talent from around the world to bring their talents to the table, because it's actually the juices of all of us folks that are passionate about building solutions that help the humankind. This is our time to show how great some of these solutions are, and we've got thousands of solutions and upgrades that have happened to technology, right? We've innovated a lot of very challenging solutions, especially in large companies like IBM. We've innovated a number of solutions, and it's not simple, and our effort inside IBM has involved harmonizing and consolidating metadata from across well over 6,000 assets and processing activities that operate on personal information. That's challenging work. And anyone that's interested and is bored has really flourished in that environment, right? We've got multiple business units, lots of different practices happening with worldwide partners thousands of suppliers that are working to work with IBM to either provide data or services, millions of URLs where cookies are being stored. So the challenge is very fascinating. And now the requirement of having AI and machine learning technologies to scale these solutions is really helping all the engineers bring their talent to the table to really build great, proper solutions out there.
Yeah, right on, Neera. It's a complex challenge. Encouraging to hear what IBM has done to be out there and solving these issues. Actually, Gartner made some compelling prediction on data and analytics recently, right? That further support the perfect storm created when digital transformation, data privacy, and cloud collide, right? They talk about, number one, by 2024, 60% of the data used for development of AI and analytics will be synthetically generated. The second prediction they have is by 2025, 80% of data analytics governance initiatives focused on business outcomes rather than data standard will be considered essential business capabilities. As you know, the CTO has a million things, right, they're trying to accomplish these days. So one is, where is data privacy on a priority list, and is that where it should be today, in your opinion?
So I don't believe that all CTOs have privacy as their top priorities. But I'm sure that there's many. I know at IBM we have many CTOs that do have privacy as a top priority. But if they don't today, they will very soon in the future, because privacy is at the heart of being in the business. As you know, our CEO, Arvind Krishnan, has said, trust is a license to do business. So if your customers cannot trust the data that you're managing for them, or the way that you're managing their data, then customers aren't going to come work for you. So a CTO's job is going to be non-existent if they're not focusing on what the customers want and needs are, right? So our users are going to direct the CTOs. If the CTO is not focused already, the CTOs are going to focus on privacy.
I love that, right? Trust is a license to do business. Absolutely. So a look ahead, right, tells us there will be more threats, more AI-driven data, more people impacted, especially with the growing number of devices work worldwide, and also more vulnerable entryways as we enter a multi-cloud world. So on average, what does data privacy cost a company when they're compromised? And can you cite an example or two?
Sure. There's been many studies done on, and there's many websites currently out there that show the cost of doing business and the cost of once you've had compromised data, and the regulatory fines and the breaches. It's just enormous. It's getting, like we said, it's getting in the millions, if not in the billions, in some of those businesses. And it actually is that whole cliche of pay me now or pay me later. If you don't spend the effort to ensure that your technology is addressing privacy upfront, or doing privacy by design of your solutions, the payment is going to be done later in the form of a breach, in the form of users, because once a trust has been lost by a customer, trust is hard to win. It's easily lost, but it's very hard to win back trust. So you're actually compromising the organization's liveliness when you do compromise trust. So I think that it's hard to quantify the amount of money that you as a result, but once you lost trust, it's really hard to quantify the result of the loss of trust of a customer.
Yeah, totally. I actually came across a report recently talking about citing on average cost, it was like $3.86 million per incident. That's only something measurable. There's also intangible brand damage. There are many other things that you have to redo, re-earn the trust. That the cost of that is not measurable, right? That's being said. Exactly.
Exactly. Not that reputational damage that happens is not going to be regained.
Yeah, totally. There are several tech innovators who are developing solutions at the intersection of digital transformation and the data privacy. IBM is one of them, right? Tell us more about some of the solutions that helping companies achieve data privacy goals by IBM.
Sure. So IBM has a unified privacy framework that pulls together a number of solutions, such as our Watson Knowledge Catalog, the Client Pack for Data, a number of security solutions like the IBM Security Verify, that work together to help with the regulations, meeting of the regulations, such as data discovery, classification, tagging of the data, whether it's structured or unstructured, and then also some of the dashboarding to see compliance at your fingertips. The privacy officer of today, which IBM is the first, one of the first companies to have a data privacy officer appointed. The privacy officer of today needs at the fingertips what the current status of IBM's compliance is, right? The enterprise's compliance, which in a large enterprise is not an easy task. So Cognos solutions to showcase where the compliance stands, to build a business privacy leadership team that is focusing on privacy, all the tools that they need. So Cognos, along with all of the security tools that I've just talked about, put together, really create a framework that can enable an enterprise to manage their compliance activities. What we are doing internally to IBM is using IBM as sort of a living lab to learn how compliance is done in a complex environment in a global enterprise such as IBM. And then we work very closely with the product teams that are actually supporting clients' use cases to take that technology, that learning experience we've had with our living lab, and embedding that technology into or upgrading our current offerings so that we can support the customers. And then we also work with IBM Research and all of the IBM divisions, privacy office. Like I said, I am part of the chief data office. So all of the technologies that we can bring together to then support the client's use cases. So it's a great partnership. And I think, like I said, there's a lot of commercial offerings that are out there, and it's benefiting from some of the living lab inside IBM as we move forward. Wow. There's a lot of products out there.
Yeah, I love that concept of living lab, right? You really, whatever you do, you need to take the feedback from the customer and apply that to the real use cases. So that's where it's so effective. That's why the solution is tailored for the customer needs. But exactly. one thing we all know, right? Worrying about security or privacy of information erodes our personal freedom by creating anxiety and distrust, right? So we must ask ourselves, how do we really turn knowledge into wisdom, data into insights, or our value into trust? So what are the key areas of consideration? This is the last question, right? What are the key areas of consideration for companies who want to improve data privacy?
So I am a huge proponent, especially since I'm a software engineer myself, is to educate your developer staff on privacy by design, right? Learn what are the concepts that are required for you to be able to ensure that your solutions are robust to meet privacy regulations and standards. Standardize, create data standards so that everyone can adhere to a common taxonomy as they build solutions. Then use one of the most important one of the regulations that may get overlooked by many folks is data minimization. Don't collect data, personal information that you have to care and feed for unless it's really required by the solution. So even though the data economy is growing at leaps and bounds, it's growing it should not be growing without a purpose behind it. If you're going to collect data, there should be a purpose as to why you're collecting that data,
Mhm.
and have a purpose taxonomy so that you understand exactly why your staff is collecting data as they do. So I think that enterprises need to standardize their data taxonomies, standardize on the purpose taxonomy. Why do we collect data? What's the purpose we collect data?
Mhm.
Who is allowed to use what data? Have very strict rules there, and also to educate everyone on privacy by design. And I think those are the concepts that are going to set us apart from having to go and rework solutions later, but to really build the right solutions as we move forward.
Well, thanks for so much for sharing these practical insights with us, Neera. I'm a firm believer that future forward leaders lead with accountability, right? Realizing that protecting people as well as staying ahead of growing regulations, public perception on data usage leads to a stronger data privacy. So tune in for our next episode of Spice Talk with IBM on democratizing AI for enterprises. And stay hungry, stay fearless, and stay grateful.